Okay, so I actually get to do a review on Friday, unlike the past few weeks where I really haven't done that. And as you can see from the headband and the title down below, this is Cobra Kai Season 3. And also, just a fair warning, there will be spoilers in this review, and there will also be spoilers for what led up to the season. So I look fucking ridiculous. I don't care. So anyway, if you haven't seen any of Cobra Kai yet, I would recommend either watching the series, which I highly recommend, or just read the Wikipedia article, then come back and read my watch this review. So this is season 3. This picks up right after season 2, where Miguel is comatose from a near-death experience, which he ultimately is able to recover from. And the first few episodes are Johnny and Daniel trying to find Robbie and make things right. And the concept of Johnny and Daniel teaming up, it's kind of teased throughout the season. It doesn't really happen until the very end, which I think is a perfect way to end that story arc for season 3 of the will they won't they be together as friends. Um and there's a lot of great stuff that they play with in this season. They do deal with the aftermath of the fight where parents get really concerned. It's almost like this is kind of like the karate version of a school shooting, essentially. So I like the commentary on that. I think that was very well done. I do like how they make commentary on faculty members at schools doing these bullshit attempts to enforce peace, but it just really this is kind of my problem with the administrator lady in this series in the first and third season is that she keeps trying to enforce rules, but she doesn't do it in a way that connects with the kids. Because look, if you're gonna try to get a point across to teenagers who think they're better than everyone, you're gonna have to do it in a way where you do it with authority, but make them seem like someone you'd want to follow instead of the I make rule, therefore you must follow. So that was kind of fun to it was kind of fun to see her just get tossed aside and ignored. Um, the one thing I will say about this series, the tone, is that this is a darker season, but it's also more cartoony because it's almost like rival gangs between the Cobra Kai and the Miyagi Do until Johnny makes his own dojo, which I'll get to in a while. But it just seems a little. It almost seems like a comic book story, especially the bit where one of Sam's friends gets jumped, and then Sam drives over to the arcade to beat up the Cobra Kai. Which, speaking of, and Sam kind of goes through a bit of a story arc where she tries to overcome the slut shaming and just the judgmental looks at school, and also the PTSD from fighting Tori. And yeah, I mean, kind of still deals with the scars on her bicep. And there's also a scene where she has to face one of the main themes of this season is facing your fears and facing your problems. And case in point with Sam, there's a scene earlier where Tori tries to goad her into a fight in this laser tag arcade, but Sam is too afraid to face her, and as a result, Hawk breaks Dimitri's arm, which that's probably the most intense scene with the kids in the whole series. Um, and as far yeah, the series gets way more violence. I mean, it gets really intense. Um, I do think it's a little ridiculous that any of this is even happening. Because in the first season of Cobra Kai, there were fight scenes, but they were in situations where it was believable and understandable for how this came to be. In this one, it just seems like they're looking for an excuse to fight. There is still some storylines for both the kids and the adults, but with the kids, it does focus on character development, but a lot of it is just an action movie. Um, the last thing I'll say about the kids in this series is that a few things. I do like Dimitri more in this season because he's kind of pathetic, but he's a little tougher than he was before. And I do like how he and Yasmin kind of sort of have a meeting in the minds where Yasmin's a little more sympathetic to Dimitri because of her embarrassing attack in the first season where she got a front wedgie. So, and that's one thing. Maybe there's a few more things about the kids. I'm sorry. I do feel like bringing Yasmin back and bringing back Kyler. I thought it was kind of a dumb idea at first because I felt like these were just the one note bullies from the first season that get easily defeated. They did their job. They served their purpose as characters. They don't need to be brought back. But they did come up with good ways. Like, again, Yasmin being a more sympathetic person, and Kyler and his goons being in Cobra Kai. And the final thing I'll say about the kids for real is I do like how Hawk, at first, Hawk, you kind of see him as the one note asshole in the second season and even in this season, but there are points throughout season three where he starts to question Kreese's teaching methods, like feeding a mouse to a snake in front of his students. The bit after he breaks Dimitri's arm and he kind of sits there like, "What have I done?" And then he ultimately saves Dimitri in the final fight in the house, and then they become friends again, which I thought was kind of. I mean, dude, you just got out of the cast that your friend put you in. Do you really want to go back to being friends with him? So as for Daniel and Johnny, Johnny kind of goes back to square one. He does eventually get his own dojo, but there's a lot of points where he tries to improve. He tries to be a better person, mainly through helping Miguel regain the use of his legs. Um, and I also like how Daniel's falling on hard times too. Because I mean, last season his business was starting to fail, but now because of the karate gimmicks that he used to use for his business, it just kind of fell apart because of the whole fight, and he was a big figure in town. So he goes to Okinawa to try and do a merger with a different car business, so he can try to save his store. And it also comes down to him going to Okinawa to try and figure this out. And there's a lot of Karate Kid 2 callbacks. Like he runs into his girlfriend from the second movie. He runs into the villain from the second movie who becomes a friend, surprisingly. So Chosen and Kumiko are very well done. And it was a lot of fun to see that. Like Chosen actually teaches Daniel a few things about Miyagi-Do. So I thought that was a really cool touch. Um, They do reference Mr. Miyagi a lot in this season, as in seasons one and two. But I guess it's just kind of what you come to expect from Daniel, because Miyagi had a huge effect on Daniel's life. So I can completely see why they keep going that route. I do like how Johnny tries to reconnect with Robbie, and I also like how he does his best to help Miguel. And I will say this, since there's a Cobra Kai season four, I would actually like to see Robbie and Johnny sort of come together, or at least maybe not be a loving father son relationship, but at least get to a point where they're willing to respect each other. Because of Robbie's arc, it seems like in the first season he's kind of a douchebag, and then he attempts to turn his life around. The second season, it looks like his life is heading for changing for the better. And then he gets into a school fight and almost kills Miguel, and then it all goes downhill from there. And yeah, some of the scenes with him in juvie where he's getting beat up by the other inmates are pretty hard to watch. And after Miguel ends up back with Sam, he kind of goes back to evil mode again. And also with Tori, they make you sympathize with her a bit at first, but then she goes back to villainous mode where you lose all sympathy for her. So it's kind of interesting how the show makes you feel sympathetic for the bullies, but then they do something that completely blows that thought in the kneecaps. And there is some more. I also like how there's more backstory with John Kreese. I don't think they're trying to justify his behavior. I think these backstory scenes are meant to explain why he is the way he is. But man, John Kreese is just psychotic. I mean, I think he and the Joker would go very well together. um, yeah. So they do set up that the fourth season storyline will be Eagle Fang and Miyagi Do versus Cobra Kai, and whoever loses has to leave town. So really, the third season was just a setup for the fourth season. I thought it was kind of weird when they were saying the fourth season is in training, but then when I went through season three, I was like, okay, season three was just setting up a storyline for the yeah, because technically all the seasons end in cliffhangers. The first one, you have John Kreese making a cameo at the end. Second one, Miguel's in the is gets put in the hospital and Robbie runs off. And I mean, despite what Robbie did, I kind of I felt bad for him until he joined Cobra Kai and started spewing out Kreese's gobbledygook. Because it's like you could tell he was a kid that really wanted to do good, but then he keeps messing it up because father let him down and bad life choices. So it's actually really cool to see Johnny and Daniel finally come together and combine their dojos. And I also think it's cool how Amanda, who was kind of finding all this nonsense ridiculous, but after Kreese starts attacking them more often, she starts to take it more seriously. And I like how Kreese plays with the fact that he was a Vietnam veteran and he uses his veteran status to ingratiate himself with the city council members during the board meeting, and he gets sympathy even though for getting slapped by Mrs. LaRusso, even though he deserved it. And I do like how they portray the cops as completely pathetic and incompetent with handling the situation, which TV logic, but I don't know, kind of true maybe. I don't know. I'm pretty sure saying that out loud will have the Blue Lives Matter people after me now. Um, at any rate, um, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on this season. They even bring Allie back for an episode, which is definitely a lot of fun. I really love the chemistry that Daniel, Johnny, Allie, and Amanda all had together. That's one of my favorite scenes of the season. Just those four at a Christmas party, drinking wine, telling old stories, and I loved Allie saying that they're talking to Amanda, and they're both like, "You're awesome. We're awesome. We should hang out more often." Then she turns to Daniel's like, "She's really beautiful, Daniel. Don't mess this up." And then she turns to Johnny and says, "Don't mess it up with your girlfriend. You got a shot now. You know what you need to do in your life." So it kind of comes full circle where Johnny realizes he was meant to be a sensei. And while this was definitely a very well made, if not kind of cartoony addition to the Cobra Kai series, um, I really can't wait to see what they do in season four. This review kind of was all over the place, but then again, the season was kind of all over the place, you know? And I do like some of the themes that they touched on. I think there was some character development for both the adults and the kid characters. And yeah, I think I might want to take this bandana off, and I should have practiced this before shooting, but ah, yeah. I wore Cobra Kai on my headband, and now it's time for a change of allegiance because of all the allegiance changes in this freaking series. Miyagi Do karate all the way. I'll post my cover on Monday, and until then, we'll see you next time. Bye.